Hello everyone, my name is Eric Masowski, and in this tutorial we're going to be continuing the 101 series by taking a look at splines and how they are created in 3D Studio Max. Now splines are basically 2D shapes or lines that exist in space. They don't have kind of like a polygon or a surface to them natively, and they can actually provide us with a lot of neat opportunities in Max. We can create objects from them, we can extrude faces along them, we can use them as paths to control cameras or objects. There are tons of things that we can do with splines or shapes. So let's get started. So if we go to the Create tab, and then directly to the left of our Geometry button is Shapes. Now within shapes we have a lot of primitives, much like we did with geometry. So we have lines, circles, arcs, rectangles, and so on. So let's start by creating a circle. So in the top viewport, just click and drag, and there we go, we have a circle. And so much like when creating a sphere, as you're dragging it, it defines the radius. Now let's go to a rectangle. Again, just click and drag to define your rectangle. In arc, you define kind of like the base, end to end, and then you define the arc by just dragging your mouse a bit. Now you may notice on the side here we have two options for creating. We now have center and then end to end. So depending on how you want to create your arc would depend on which method you want to use. And so we have text, so we can put in some text into our object. We can change its font to whatever we want, and this basically takes any true type font that you currently have on your system, even the ones that just show up as very simple symbols. So if you need a quick shape and you know that there's a font out there that has that shape, that's a quick way to get it in here. You can also import AI files from Illustrator as lines and shapes as well. Okay, so let's clean this up a little bit just by deleting them. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go over what are compound objects. Compound objects are when you have two shapes that are treated as one. Okay, so if we click and drag to find one circle, you'll notice at the top here it says Start New Shape. If we turn that off, and then we click and drag again, just say a smaller circle, then hit Escape to get out of our circle creation mode, you can see that both of these are blue. And if I click on one, both are selected. These are now considered one object. They're attached to each other. Okay, so again, the way that this is created is make sure that Start New Shape isn't on. Click and drag, boom. And it basically attaches it to whatever you have selected. So you can see that I have these selected, and now when I click on rectangle, the rectangle becomes part of that object as well. Okay, so now let's get rid of that. And let's go to line. Now line can be a little bit finicky or a little bit hard to get used to, but if you just take special care and take your time, you can usually get a good grasp on it. And I've actually abused this tool quite a bit by actually making full 3D designs. There's a lot of or 2D designs. A lot of times I will use the Spline tool or the line tool in Max to make line art instead of something like Illustrator, which is a complete abuse of the line tool, but you go with what you're happy using. Okay, so on the right hand side we have the initial type and drag type. The initial type is when you click the left mouse button really quick. Okay, so all I did was click and release very quickly. And this created kind of like a linear or a hard point. Okay, so it's going to be linear always coming out of that point. Now the drag type is when you click and drag. So right now it's set to Bezier. And so you can see that as I drag it, I'm creating a curve. Now because it's set to Bezier, the angle or the tangent going into this point is going to be the same as the tangent coming out of this point. So if I move down to roughly the same position that this point is to the top, you'll see that I get a very similar curve. But if I'm not planning on going there, it may seem a little bit difficult to work with. So I can click and drag, continue to click and drag to kind of create my shape. Or if I want a hard edge, just left click once and see I'm back to linear. And so click and drag, work your way all the way back. Now you may notice that this first vertex has a box around it. That lets us know that this is the first vertex in this entire shape. If we click on that vertex again while creating our shape, it'll ask us if we want to close our spline, meaning do we want this to be considered one continuous loop. So right now, I'm going to say no. And so we can continue to create our object even more. Now let's say we make a mistake and don't want any of these points and we actually want to close it. What we can do is we can hit backspace on the keyboard and that will remove our last drawn point. And you can keep on doing that to work your way all the way back to wherever the problem was. So now we're going to click on that again and click yes. Okay, so now say we want to modify this after we've created it. If we jump over to the Modify panel, you see that our base object is called Line. If we click on the little plus sign next to it, you see that we have three components. We have Vertex, Segment, and Spline. These are very similar to how a polygon object has vertices, edges, and faces, or polygons. And so we have three sub-object modes here. So we select the first one, vertices, and it brings up all of our points that we put down, so each time that we clicked. And you'll notice that this one was a Bezier, and we have two handlebars coming out of it. Each of these can be moved to give the curve new shape. So we can just go through and tweak this. Now we also have a segment, and a segment is just the area between two vertices or two knots. And these have its own options. Then we also have shape or spline, and what this is this will select the entire sequence. Now let's just say for the sake of argument we jump back, we turn off start new shape, and we just put a little circle in there. Now when we go to the spline level, we can select each of these independently. So say we want to move them around a little bit further. Okay, now say we're modifying our vertices and we find out that we made a mistake and we no longer want this one to be a corner or a hard point, or we no longer want this to be a Bezier, or we're not getting the control that we want. We can convert these to different types of points at any time. We can select it, right click on it, and then at the upper left hand side we have four options. We have Bezier corner, and smooth. Bezier is what we were seeing at the top, where the handlebars are locked. So you move one, the other one moves with it. Corner is when we have a linear in and a linear out, or a hard point. And then you have smooth, which will try to create a nice smooth arc continuing through the points. And then Bezier corner. Bezier corner allows you to adjust each handlebar independently. And so you can go through and continue to modify this. Now, let's just say that we need more points. We don't have enough points on our spline here. Definitely don't want to recreate this thing, adding more points where we need it. So we can just go over to Segment, work our way down to Geometry, and then click on Refine. And so we can go through and wherever we click, we'll add an additional point, which we can then modify. Okay, so that's a really quick introduction to splines, shapes, etc. Couple side notes which may be of use is, say you've added these points and then found out you don't want them, you can hit delete on the keyboard to delete them. And also say you want to render out this line. You want this line to appear in one of your images. Underneath Rendering tab, you can turn on Enable and Renderer, or you can give these an actual thickness by doing Enable and Viewport. So now when we go to our solid mode, you can see what happens. And so you can adjust the thickness, the number of sides or how complex it is, as well as the angle. You can also go to rectangular if you want. Okay, so that'll do it for this tutorial. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or post on the forums. If you want some more practice creating or working with lines, try creating a cloverleaf. It's a fairly complex shape that may not be immediately obvious on how you create it. Okay, thank you.